Hamilton didn't just protest a decision. He protested the moment the British Grand Prix stopped feeling like it was being decided only by the drivers. Because one safety car call can do what raw speed cannot. It can erase a gap. It can flip strategy. It can hand one driver a second chance while another watches his race collapse in real time. And at Silverstone, with Hamilton in front of a home crowd, that kind of decision does not land quietly. It explodes. But here is what makes this controversy even bigger. The source material places this story inside a wider storm around the FIA, with investigations, confirmed grid penalties, curfew breach decisions, and review requests all surrounding recent race weekends. That matters because when the governing body is already under pressure, every call becomes more than a call. It becomes evidence. So was Hamilton protesting because a safety car decision changed his race? Or was he protesting something deeper, the fear that Formula One's most important moments can still be decided by procedures that fans, teams, and even drivers do not fully understand in the heat of the battle? That is the real danger for the FIA. Not just an angry Hamilton, not just a British Grand Prix controversy, but the possibility that one unclear decision changed the outcome of the race and exposed the one weakness Formula One cannot afford to ignore. Trust. Subscribe to the channel. To understand why Hamilton's protest felt so serious, you have to understand what a safety car really means in Formula One. From the outside, it looks simple. Something happens on the track. Race control slows the cars down. The field bunches together. The marshals get space to work. The danger is cleared, and then the racing begins again. That is the version everyone can understand. But inside a Grand Prix, a safety car is not just a safety tool. It is a race-changing weapon. Not because it is meant to be unfair, but because its effect can be brutal. A driver can spend lap after lap building a gap, managing tires, controlling the pace, and protecting track position. Then, in one decision, that advantage can disappear. A lead can vanish. A strategy can collapse. A rival can suddenly get another chance. And that is why Hamilton's protest hit so hard at the British Grand Prix. Silverstone is not just another circuit for him. It is the place where the noise feels personal. It is where the crowd carries his name through the grandstands. It is where every mistake hurts more, every overtake feels louder, and every race control decision is judged with the emotional weight of a home race. So when a safety car decision becomes part of the outcome, the frustration is never only about the rule itself. It is about what the rule did to the race. Because Formula One drivers can accept danger being managed. They can accept that marshals need protection. They can accept that a stopped car, debris, or an unsafe section of track may require immediate action. Hamilton was not protesting the idea of safety. That would miss the point completely. The real question is timing. Why then? Why in that way? Why did the decision create the result it created? And most importantly, did everyone understand the logic clearly enough while the race was still alive? That is where this controversy begins to grow. Because in Formula One, timing can be more powerful than speed. If a safety car appears before one driver has stopped, it can help him. If it appears after another driver has already stopped, it can punish him. If it bunches the field at the wrong moment, it can turn a controlled race into a restart gamble. It is like standing in a long airport line, waiting patiently, doing everything right, and then suddenly watching a new lane open beside you. Maybe there is a reason. Maybe the staff are following instructions. But if nobody explains why some people suddenly move faster, frustration builds immediately. That is what unclear race management can feel like. The decision might have a reason, but if the reason is not obvious, the result feels harder to accept. And that matters because the source information around the story shows the FIA was already under attention during this period. It mentions investigations, a confirmed grid penalty at the British Grand Prix, curfew breach decisions involving Mercedes and Audi, and a Mercedes review request connected to Monaco. Those details do not prove anything about the safety car call by themselves, but they do create the atmosphere. The governing body was visible. Its decisions were already being discussed. The rulebook was not sitting quietly in the background. It was part of the story before Hamilton's protest even fully landed. And when the FIA is already under scrutiny, one safety car decision does not feel like one safety car decision. It feels like the latest test of consistency. That word matters. Consistency. Drivers do not need every race to go their way. They know Formula One can be cruel. Rain can arrive at the wrong moment. Tires can fade. A pit stop can go wrong. A rival can get lucky with timing. But what they need is the belief that the system will apply the same logic to everyone. Once that belief starts to crack, Every call becomes heavier. A yellow flag feels heavier. A penalty feels heavier. A restart feels heavier. And a safety car, especially at Silverstone, with Hamilton involved, becomes impossible to ignore. That is why this protest was bigger than one result. It was not just Hamilton saying, "I lost something." It was Hamilton pushing against the feeling that the race had shifted through a decision outside the cockpit, outside the team's control, and possibly outside what the audience could clearly understand in the moment. And in Formula One, that is dangerous, because the sport sells precision. It measures gaps in tiny fractions. It tracks every lap, every tire change, every sector, every small mistake. The whole world is built on exactness. But when the biggest decision of the race feels unclear, all that precision suddenly feels fragile. That is the tension at the center of this story. A safety car exists to bring control. But in Hamilton's British Grand Prix controversy, it created the opposite feeling. It created doubt. But the protest becomes even more serious when you stop looking at the safety car as a single moment and start looking at what it does to the people inside the race. Because for fans, the safety car appears on the screen. For teams, it appears as a calculation. But for a driver, it feels like control being taken away. That is the part most people miss. A Formula One driver spends the entire race building tiny advantages. Not huge ones, tiny ones. A cleaner exit from one corner. A slightly better tire temperature through the next sector. A smarter energy deployment down the straight. A few tenths saved here, a few tenths gained there. It looks smooth from the outside. Inside the cockpit, it is exhausting. Every lap is a negotiation with the car. The driver is asking the tires for grip, asking the brakes to stay alive, asking the engine to respond, asking the team for information, asking the track for just enough space to attack, defend, or survive. Then the safety car comes out, and suddenly the race becomes something else. The gap that mattered 5 seconds ago may no longer matter. The tire plan that looked smart may become vulnerable. The rival who seemed too far behind may now be close enough to attack. The driver who was managing the race may now have to fight it again from the beginning. That is why Hamilton's protest cannot be reduced to frustration. It is about the moment a driver feels the shape of the race change without his permission. And that is where the FIA enters the most uncomfortable part of the story. Because race control does not need a driver's permission. It has authority. If there is danger, race control has to act. If marshals need protection, the race must be controlled. If debris, a stopped car, or unsafe conditions create risk, the officials cannot simply wait for the most convenient strategic moment. Safety comes first. That is not the debate. The debate is whether the decision was explained clearly enough, quickly enough, and consistently enough for everyone to accept what followed. And that is where Hamilton's protest becomes a warning. Because a decision can be necessary and still be badly understood. A decision can be legal and still feel damaging. A decision can be made for safety and still change the competitive outcome in a way that leaves the driver feeling robbed of control. That is the difficult truth formula one does not always want to face. Two things can be true at once. The FIA may believe it acted correctly. Hamilton may believe the race was changed unfairly. Fans may not have enough information to know which side has the stronger argument. And when those three things happen together, controversy becomes almost impossible to stop. The source information around this story adds another layer because it shows the FIA was already active in several high-attention decisions around the same period. Investigations were being discussed. A grid penalty at the British Grand Prix had been confirmed after investigation. Curfew breach decisions involving Mercedes and Audi had avoided penalties. A Mercedes review request connected to Monaco was also part of the wider picture. Those details matter because they create pressure around the governing body. Not proof, pressure. They show a period where official decisions were not invisible. They were being reported, questioned, reviewed, and judged. So when Hamilton protested the safety car decision, it did not feel like a driver reacting to one isolated call. It felt like another spark falling onto dry ground. And in Formula One, dry ground catches quickly, because teams remember everything. A team does not forget how a penalty was handled. A driver does not forget when a safety car helped one rival and hurt another. Fans do not forget moments that feel unresolved. Every unclear decision becomes part of a mental file, waiting to be reopened the next time something similar happens. That is why consistency matters so much. Formula One is not asking the FIA to make every race predictable. That would destroy the sport. Fans love surprise. They love rain arriving at the wrong time. They love daring strategies. They love late restarts. They love the moment a race suddenly turns. But they need to believe the surprise came from racing, not confusion. That distinction is everything. A late safety car can be thrilling if everyone understands why it happened. It can be accepted if the logic feels stable. It can even be painful for one driver and still feel fair if the same standard appears to apply to everyone. But when the reason feels unclear, the thrill becomes doubt. And doubt spreads. It spreads through the pit wall first. Engineers start asking if they missed something. Strategists start replaying the sequence. Team principals start thinking about what can be challenged. Drivers start asking whether they were treated the same as everyone else. Then it spreads to the audience. Some fans defend the call. Some attack it. Some blame the FIA. Some blame Hamilton. Some say the safety car was unavoidable. Others say the timing changed everything. And because the source does not provide the full official explanation, the argument has even more room to grow. That is why missing clarity is so powerful. When people do not have the full picture, they build one. They use emotion. They use loyalty. They use past memories. They use whatever evidence they can see. And before long, the debate is no longer only about the safety car. It is about whether Formula One can be trusted when the rules meet pressure. That is the bigger conflict. Hamilton's protest turns one decision into a question about the entire system. Who gets clarity in the moment? Who understands the process? Who benefits from the timing? Who pays the price? And would the same decision have happened the same way if the positions were reversed? That last question is dangerous. Because once people ask whether the same standard would apply to everyone, the debate moves beyond strategy. It becomes about fairness. And fairness in Formula One is fragile. The sport is already unequal in many ways. Some cars are faster. Some teams have more resources. Some drivers have better strategy, support. Some weekends suit one car more than another. Fans accept that because it is part of the competition.